All right. It is a Friday afternoon, and I am lucky and pleased to be talking to Zachary Pardey of the Bold Bitcoin credit card. Okay. This is a really awesome idea. This is something we've been waiting for as Bitcoiners for a very long time. We've wanted to see this happen. He is an awesome guy. He's very accomplished, very polished, and he was formerly with Star City, which was a really cool startup company. They were recently acquired. He went to Cornell, and he is an awesome dude. And he's here today. Zach, how are you?
Fantastic. Great to be here with you, Mike.
All right, cool. So let's jump right in to the Bold card. Okay, get
Yeah.
bold. Why did you decide to start this company? What was the inspiration? And can you talk a little bit about the genesis of where this came from?
Yeah, absolutely. So went pretty big on Bitcoin back in 2020. Kind of, I initially bought Bitcoin back in 2014, but didn't have a deep enough understanding of what it was. Sold most of it, and then in 2020, COVID rolls around. They're doing all this stimulus, printing all this money, and I'm saying to myself, well, all that money's got to go somewhere. It's going to go into hard assets. It's going to go into Bitcoin. So now I started buying lots of Bitcoin and scaled into it heavily over the year. Because basically, looking back on my early days in Bitcoin, I had realized the importance of the asset as a new monetary technology and not just as a shiny object. And so, having built that conviction, I went basically all in on Bitcoin 2020. And then my previous role wrapped up the following year, which was 2021. And I was doing some traveling around the world, kind of thinking about what to do next and living off of my Bitcoin stack. And when I was doing that, I was living off of credit cards. And there's just a central problem of the traditional credit cards didn't recognize the reality of my financial situation as a Bitcoiner. So that was kind of the first inkling was the limits are too low. The rates are a lot higher than I want them to be. And it's pretty incongruent for someone who's fully invested in Bitcoin and has a significant Bitcoin stack. Kind of the second moment when the idea for Bold kicked in was I was having dinner, a nice prime rib with my friend Josh, who's an advisor to Bold, and telling him all about Bitcoin, like, oh, this thing's amazing. We talked about it for most of the meal, and then we wrapped up. And despite talking about Bitcoin the whole time, I paid with my card, and that sort of felt incongruent. But at the same time, I had to ask the honest question of, well, the fiat rails in terms of medium of exchange and ability to pay for things day to day, they're pretty solid, right? Especially with Apple Pay and the sort of the phone payment systems where you can just tap. It's as close to effortless as you get. Nonetheless, Bitcoin has really nailed it as a store of value. So the question became, what if there is a way to hold Bitcoin and do with Bitcoin what it's great at, which is store value, number go up, maximize your exposure to it, transact day to day based on the buying power of your Bitcoin stack, not incur a capital gains tax event, right? So, if you buy a coffee, you don't have to add a new line item to your taxes and fight for your life in TurboTax come tax season, right? And that was a consideration. And then thirdly, it was just how can we use the existing financial system to its strength at the point of sale? So combining those three things, maximizing your stack, avoiding the taxable implications, and providing a very high level of frictionless convenience when you're buying things in the real world. the idea was with Bold, you can have all three of those.
So let's go into a little bit about the product, right? It's unlocking Bitcoins as a pristine collateral, which is something we talk about a lot and we believe in. We've invested in some similar companies, not linked to a flexible sort of revolving line of credit, right? That can work with a card or be drawn upon at will. So this is definitely a new idea. So how does the product work? Can you just walk us through roughly just a 30,000 foot overview of Bold?
Yeah, it's really simple. You go to Bold's website. This will be once we launch. You go to the website. You receive a Bitcoin address to which you send the Bitcoin that you would like to deposit as collateral. And then what you get is a credit card right away. You'll get a digital card that you can spend on, and then you'll get a physical card in the mail, right? Just a normal credit card that you can spend on everywhere credit cards are accepted. And the credit limit of that card is set to 35% of the value of the collateral that you post in Bitcoin.
So then from that point forward, one of the questions that we got was regarding your choice of the 3 of 4 multi-sig versus the 2 of 3, which Unchained has chosen. So can you talk a little bit about the reason of thinking, who is the fourth party, and how this kind of breaks down?
Yeah. The 2 of 4, basically what it does is it provides an extra layer of security. And that's a layer of security against the counterparty risk of Bold itself. So if anything were to happen to Bold, both the customer as well as our capital partner have recourse to get the collateral back to its rightful owner. So in a nutshell, that's how it works. And who is the fourth key? The fourth key is held by, think of it as a safety key. It's held by a dedicated sort of arbitrator that's pre-agreed upon by Bold and our capital partner. And the idea is that in day-to-day operations, it's never used. It would only be used in a situation in which Bold could not access its keys to move collateral.
Okay, so you're going to say feature, not a bug.
Of course.
Just joking with you. Okay, had another question. I think it's undetermined or it's stealth mode anyways, but when you say anywhere a card is accepted, that's either Visa or MasterCard.
Yeah, it'll be one of the major 2 networks. We're in talks and we'll be announcing which one.
Okay, so as far as a user who would like to pay in person on the go, but also kind of lives off or needs cash disbursements at a certain point in time. Can you talk about the availability of being able to draw on that as a line of credit versus just the spending?
Yeah, totally. You can do cash advances. There may be some limits to those, and there may be a small sort of origination fee for cash advances, sort of, that hit certain criteria. Details to be announced, but yeah, we'd like to make it as easy as possible to do that.
One thing that's cool and different between a traditional credit card and what you're doing with Bold is the quarterly repayment option. Okay, whether that sticks around or not, it's the plan right now. Can you chat about that? The quarterly payments is an option, and how you even decided to do why, and also why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, it's something that we'd like to bring to market. And again, this is pending that this is going to be possible given our bank partner relationships. But it's something that we'd like to do, and the thinking behind it is just that you're posting your Bitcoin collateral. And so the risk of a customer not paying their balance is basically zero, right? Because you've posted, you posted more Bitcoin collateral and value than what you've spent at all times. And so in the event of a customer not paying back their balance, the worst case scenario is Bold would liquidate a proportional amount of the collateral to pay down that balance. And so, with the more frequent traditional payment schedule, the idea is you're getting the customer in the habit of paying regularly. And so holding collateral, we want to provide better payment terms that sort of are only available to Bitcoin holders.
So I love this space. I've been playing around in it for a long time as far as collateralizing some Bitcoin, taking loans, kicking the tires, paying them back, getting the Bitcoin back, withdrawing, and really used a lot of these services. So this is awesome. But if you've been using these services enough, you know that those margin call emails are, they happen. So in the case of Bold, I've sent $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. I now have a $350,000 line of credit. I'm spending that card. I'm earning rewards, which is something I hopefully we talk about in a little bit. I have an extended repayment period. I have an interest rate that's undetermined, but more favorable than the current average or some other cards that are in my pocket. Okay. Right. And I've ran up a pretty decent decent run. I really hit the hell out of this card, so to speak.
Yes.
And now the price in the typical market that we're in now, right? Volatile Bitcoin price. What happens then?
Yes. I just wanted to mention one thing that you said. So to get a $350,000 line of credit, you need to post $1 million of Bitcoin.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
Gets,
I'm so sorry.
Just so nobody gets
100K for
confused.
35K. Yes, I'm
100K
sorry.
would be 35K. But to answer your question, what happens with basically if that balance of the value of the balance carried on the card gets out of whack with the value of the collateral, right? The 35% card balance to collateral value ratio is a maximum. And if the balance goes over 35%, which could occur because the value of the collateral goes down, you're approaching that margin call condition in like a Bitcoin dip or crash event. Look, we do not want to liquidate people. It's a terrible experience. You're being forced to sell some of your Bitcoin at the worst possible time. And like personally, I have a loan on my Bitcoin with Unchained Capital. I know the feeling, right? You don't want that. And so kind of building on the ecosystem that's already evolved, we'd like to, and we will be providing sort of a couple of layers of safety to prevent that liquidation. So the first is the platform will nudge you as a user to link another fiat bank account to your Bold account, and then also link a traditional credit card to the Bold account. So if it comes basically, if there comes an event where it would normally that sort of condition is triggered where you need to post more collateral, right? If there's a dip, first, like you said, you get the email. It says, please post more collateral. You have X amount of time to do so. That's kind of the first line of defense. So you have the option just to post more Bitcoin, to deposit more Bitcoin as your collateral to rebalance. And of course, you can pay down your card balance traditionally. In the event that that you're not able to do so within the window, and then what happens is the platform does a pull from the fiat account that you've linked automatically to pay down the balance in the amount that's required. So that's a layer of safety one. If that account doesn't have sufficient funds or isn't connected, then we go to safety number two, which is effectively a balance transfer to an existing credit card that you have. So that's kind of safety mechanism number two. And then worst case scenario, if you don't add more collateral yourself, if your fiat bank account doesn't, we're not able to pay down your Bold card balance with that. If we're not able to do a balance card transfer from an existing traditional credit card, only in that event would the customer be liquidated, and the customer will only be liquidated in an amount necessary to pay down a portion of the balance to reestablish the 35% ratio. So you're not going to get all your Bitcoin sold, just enough.
Okay, so that's really cool then. That is 3 safety measures in place, which is 2 more than a lot of the other people out there playing around in this space. And I would love that option, right? That would be a whole different type of email that comes in. Not you have 72 hours to cure your account or be faced with a margin call, but do you want to initiate this ACH transfer? Do you want to offload this through a balance transfer to your linked card account, or do you want to add more Bitcoin?
Exactly.
That is really cool. So these prices, how often do they update, right? Is that every 24-hour period? Is that monthly, weekly, daily? How do I have 35,000 today and the price is down 10% tomorrow. Am I now down to 32,000 on a revolving sort of, is that a real-time number? How does that look?
Yeah, current plan is it is a real-time number. Yeah, that'll be mark to market in real time so that your collateral is, that calculation is being continuously, there's a risk management engine that's continuously spinning on our servers, and it's doing that calculation.
That's cool, because that's a whole different type of credit card experience, right? Can you imagine if you opened up your Citibank app and your revolving line of credit was moving? That would be so cool.
It is different, that's for sure. But one aspect of the product is that yes, there, as we've discussed, there is the downside potential. Everyone is familiar with this, but also once you've held Bitcoin for a year, for 2 years, and historically over 4 years, nobody's ever been down. Once you've held Bitcoin for a significant period of time, the volatility is a lot less of an issue because the value of your stack has appreciated significantly. So what Bold provides is the flexibility to say when you would like to pay down your card balance, maybe by liquidating some of your stack, or maybe not. Maybe you let the balance go higher, and then you pay some down once the price has, is at a local high or has appreciated.
So the big question from most people is when, right? When is the question? When can I get one of these in my hand? Can you talk about just high level, the rollouts of the first 25 states versus all 50, and kind of globally, a big picture?
Yeah, exactly. So to get Bold in customers' hands, we need to be licensed as a money transmitter and as a consumer lender, and we need those 2 licenses in each state and U.S. territory where we will operate, namely where the customer lives, and certain states are easier to get these licenses than other states. So, a lot of products, other products in the market, in New York is always the last state, and that's because of their BIT license program. It's very difficult to operate a financial business in New York. In contrast, say Wyoming, Montana, Arizona, Texas, these states are a lot more business friendly. They're a lot more friendly to Bitcoin. And so those are kind of a handful of the ones that within that first batch that we'll be applying to, we'll be kind of taking a specific focus there. But, as you mentioned, there's that first kind of batch of 25 states that where we'll be applying kind of all together. And that's a result of thankfully, there's a legal program where you can apply for these licenses through a common application, and we'll be doing that. That common application, not every state participates. So after we go through that process with that first kind of batch of 25, we'll take the playbook and our lessons learned from that first process, take it into the sort of medium difficulty batch of states, and then kind of taking a strategy of grabbing the lowest hanging fruit first. And then the most difficult states, Hawaii, California, New York, are particularly difficult. Those ones will have to come a little bit later once the company has gotten more traction.
So to expand on that, and I don't know how much you can talk about, but I don't have months, I don't have dates, but I do have a lot of people who are pressing to know. I mean, basically in the deck here, there's a Q and a 2, right? A Q2. Yes. Now, I don't know how realistic that is because we're actually very close to a Q2 now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're beginning this process in this quarter of applying.
Okay. So then
so it's possible, right? In the best case scenario for these licenses to be granted, in they say 90 days, best case scenario. That's not necessarily going to be the bottleneck. The bottleneck, if that's the case, will be our integration with our building the technology, basically. So kind of earliest we could expect to see Bold in customers' hands is 6 months from today. A bigger rollout in a year, and then full rollout in the next couple of years in those harder states.
So that then is by the end of the year, there will be cards in hands in the wild and out there.
That's our number one goal. Exactly, is to get Bold in customers' hands this year, kind of going into our seed round raise, with this round being the pre-seed raise.
Okay, so
right, because the goal there is to validate the full stack, right, of partners, licenses, and tech, to prove the concept in as many places as we can, but first and foremost to get the card in customers' hands this year.
Okay, so a wait list, right? You've amassed quite a wait list. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that wait list equates to an estimate in a whopping, I think it's 1.3 million in revenue?
Yeah, it's probably pushing about that right now. Might be a little less than 1.3 million in annual recurring revenue. It's derived from if everybody on that list converts, and there's about 2,000 people on the list right now, maybe a little bit less, which honestly has been growing pretty much organically, and from our Twitter, and sort of mostly organic, right? Bitcoiners are really just stoked about the idea. There's a strong pull from the market for the Bold product. How does that turn into $1 million in annual recurring revenue? Bold generates revenue in 2 ways. One is through interchange fees on card swipes, right? This is a typical way that credit cards make money. And the second way is when customers carry a balance on their card, we charge interest on that balance. So between those 2 revenue streams, we're projecting that $1 million ARR on the approximately 2,000 on the wait list if everyone were to convert.
So some of these cards act as prepaid spending cards. They're in a different category. Is this card expected to have the same type of protections you would have with a normal credit card in your pocket? You know, sometimes there's some car rental insurance that comes along with it, travel protection, the
Yes,
chargeback abilities, all of those. Will this
absolutely.
function as a normal credit card?
Yes, yes, and that's an important thing to mention, is that this is a normal credit card. It's a normal credit card. The only difference is that it's obviously collateralized by Bitcoin, and it's also worth noting that as such, the underwriting for it is a lot better. So yes, you're getting all that service. If you and this is why credit cards are great, right? You buy something, it just doesn't show up, right? You have the ability. It doesn't come in the mail, right? You have the ability to reverse that transaction. So yes, standard suite of customer support, chargebacks, all that set of features as you get with a traditional card. But as I was mentioning, the underwriting criterion is much more simple. It's just, did you post your Bitcoin collateral, and did you go through the KYC registration? That is necessary. This is as I was saying, a traditional credit card on fiat rails. So you do have to go through KYC, but you don't have to do a FICO credit check, because the underwriting criteria is simply, did you post your deposit? So if you, let's say you're a Bitcoin holder, you're new to the US, you don't have an established credit history, Bold might be a good option for you. Post some collateral, don't have to sell your coin, can start spending right away on a credit card.
So then does that KYC process apply? Like my credit's frozen and has been. So there's no soft inquiry. Is there still a need for a taxpayer ID in that KYC process?
A taxpayer ID.
Will I have to input my social even though there is no pull?
Probably. Yes.
Okay, so the CAC that's listed there is significantly lower than some that I'm aware of. Things like the Betterment, Wealthfront. They pay like $550 to $750 to acquire some of their customers. It's just a tremendous cost in the CAC for a typical neobanks. So you have yours in there at roughly $60 or so, just south of that as an estimate. How do you forecast you'll be able to acquire these customers so cheaply?
Well, it's good that you say forecast, because it is of course a projection. We don't have the customers yet because we haven't built and launched the product yet. So obviously there's caveats there. Nonetheless, that estimated customer acquisition cost number of ballpark $60 is based on real data, based on the podcasting marketing channel. And it doesn't seem super crazy to me that the customer acquisition cost, especially in the kind of earlier days, is going to be lower. There's a lot of pent up demand for Bold and the product that Bold represents. Like I was saying, the waitlist, I don't want to say it grew itself, but it's been growing organically. Folks just want this product, right? And it's kind of a question of, can we fill the funnel to put it in front of people, right? And I think we're going to see the conversion. So that said, that number is calculated from finance industry, consumer finance industry average conversion rate for podcasts as a medium, from reach to purchase. And then we apply industry standard card activation rate, and sort of typical cost per 1,000 listeners for a 30-second podcast ad. We crunch those numbers, estimate a number of acquired customers per ad that plays on podcasts, and back into that customer acquisition cost estimate. So yeah, it is a projection, but yes, it's a projection based on real industry data that analytics firms have gathered studying the industry, and specifically the consumer finance realm.
So that was 1.1 million projected, right? Sorry
That's
about
right.
that.
That's right.
Issuing a correction, and that's roughly $650 per user. Is that
per year annual revenue? That's right.
Okay.
Projection.
So I imagine there's going to be a pretty awesome referral program when the time is right, right? I mean, that's going to blow this up.
Yep.
The referral program, plus let's touch on the rewards. If there is anything,
Yes.
As far as any type of ideas or plans or things that might come from additional rewards and incentivizing the cardholders to use it.
Yeah. So the rewards are going to be rock solid. They're going to be at least 1%. We're targeting 1.5%, and that's kind of a matter of the partnerships that we're able to secure with merchants. So there's kind of more work to be done there, but the rewards will be delivered to you, the customer, in Bitcoin, and at select merchants where we do these deals. It could go up to 5%, 10%. Some are even willing to go higher than that. So stay tuned on those announcements for those kind of really, really great rewards.
Okay, so last question on this, and this is a little bit in the weeds, but it is a question nonetheless. Okay,
sure.
Would it be possible to report positive, impactful reporting to the credit bureau agencies, like some secured lines of credit that are already out there in the traditional world? If somebody was rebuilding or reestablishing their credit, would you be able to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a question that we've gotten a couple of times, and there's kind of a traditional way of building credit where you use a secured credit card that's secured by dollars. We'd like to offer that same functionality with Bold, except secured or collateralized by your Bitcoin. So yeah, same idea.
It's cool in Bitcoin because you have both sides of the spectrum. You have some people who are so anti-KYC, they don't want anything to do with it. And then you have some people who don't really care either way. And some people are in the middle. And to be able to use this, potentially as a tool of rebuilding or establishing credit, I think that's pretty powerful as just an add-on feature.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a tough one. So the capacity for liquidity in a company like yours, okay, and I get it. You probably don't want to go through the whole beautiful partnership infrastructure chart here, but the capacity for liquidity. Do you see this as an issue? And can you chat about that challenge?
Yeah, where do the dollars come from? Right, we're issuing dollars that are backed by Bitcoin. Securing our capital partner relationship, along with our relationship with our future issuing bank partner, that's the key challenge that Bold faces right now, is securing those two key partnerships. What risks come within an investment in Bold at this stage? It's our ability to make those deals happen. Who will be the potential capital partner? It'll be an institution that is in the business, that has the business model and is in the business of issuing US dollar loans backed by Bitcoin. You've probably seen the headlines. Goldman Sachs just got into this business. NYDIG is in the business. Silvergate Bank is in the business. Signature Bank is in the business. There's a growing cohort of really high quality financial institutions who do this. And that's what I can say about that.
So for the team here, you and am I saying it right? Is it Vijay?
Vijay, that's right. Yep.
Vijay.
My co-founder and CTO.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you wanted to real quick answer how you guys met, and do you have a history of working
Yeah.
together?
Yeah, for sure. We met back at Cornell Tech in 2017. I was an MBA student. He was a master's of computer engineering student, and kind of the unique way that school is structured is they kind of put us together, those two programs, as well as the legal program and the product design program. Put us all together, and they say, build a real product, at least a prototype, and a business model around it that you could potentially spin out. And that's how I met Vijay, is through, it's called the Studio Project. That's how we met. We built a product and a business model around it. We did not end up spinning out. However, in my previous role, I did work with Vijay on data science and analytics at Star City. And so, we've known each other for 5 years now, and we have a great working relationship.
Okay, cool. So use of funds from this raise. Do you have kind of any of it earmarked, either on a percentage term or in whatever capacity your plans are?
Yeah, we have a detailed kind of breakdown of our priorities. I can summarize it by saying, at a high level, first big expense is of course staffing. Second, below that, it's legal fees and licensing fees, which kind of go hand in hand. And subsequent to that, in order to kind of go into that capital partner candidate conversation, and warm them up to Bold and prove the business model, we'll be providing the first dozen or 24 customers line of credit from the funds of this raise, right? So to get our first customers as quickly as we can and kind of break the roadblock of, do we need that partnership first? It's like, no, first we're going to, use our balance sheet to backstop, a small private alpha of customers to get to gather data about customer behavior. Okay, in terms of use of funds, those are the three main categories. So in terms of staffing, priority is engineering, followed by marketing, followed by design, followed by customer success. So those are the kind of main categories where we'll be hiring. In terms of a more detailed breakdown of the legal and application fees, it costs $2,000 or $3,000 per state per license to apply, just outright, and that's an average. It varies greatly, but as I said before, we'll need 2 licenses per state, and legal work to do those filings in each state. So that makes up the second block of funds use. And then, as I was saying, the third major category is to provide those lines of credit for customers. And the fourth category is just G&A.
So the long-term vision, right? Is this merely a one product offering, or is this the beginning on a journey into becoming the Bitcoin neobank that exists with some other products?
We're really excited about this. Yes, I would even say in the medium term, Bold has a ton of potential to expand into a number of different ancillary product lines. A lot of them already exist. It becomes, and I think we're going to see this in the industry generally, but it becomes very natural once you're using a product and you love it to sort of not want to leave the ecosystem of that product, especially once you've deposited your Bitcoin there, right? So the ability to purchase Bitcoin, the ability to get a traditional lump sum cash Bitcoin loan. These are all things that folks ask us about that are interesting. So yes, being a full service Bitcoin bank, that is kind of a natural evolution of Bold and what it can grow into. However, that's not the big vision. The big vision is actually to replace credit cards themselves, right? What we want to do is to be well positioned so that when, and we believe this will happen, when the Lightning Network takes hold and gains prevalence as the main way that you pay at the point of sale, be it online or in person. Well, first of all, we believe that's going to happen because it allows the merchant to save 3 or 3.5% in those interchange fees, right? So in a way, we're kind of disrupting ourselves, but we're saying, look, Bitcoin is the future. This is the new monetary open network, right? It won't be stopped, right? So when every transaction is on Bitcoin Lightning rails, you ask yourself, well, that's actually, every transaction is now a cash transaction. And there's a lot of situations where that's desirable and it's the right way to do it. But there's also a lot of situations, as you were kind of mentioning earlier, where as a customer, it's really great to have some recourse in terms of you can reverse the transaction, right? As well as perhaps even more interesting than ability to do a chargeback is the ability to defer payment, right? So there's always going to be, even in a Bitcoin world, there's going to be a desire to pay later, right? There's always going to be a desire for credit. And that doesn't mean fractional reserve credit, although as long as we're in a hybridized Bitcoin USD system, it'll be, you're spending dollars and you're collateralizing with Bitcoin. Ultimately, it's just all Bitcoin full reserve. But in that hybrid system, Bold fills that role where, we don't need to necessarily use a Visa or a MasterCard network to do a transaction with a merchant. We can do that on Lightning. When it's happening on Lightning, Bold will be the provider of credit on that Lightning first system.
Okay. Finally, do you see a future for Bold where people may be able to spend out in Bitcoin, or be able to not necessarily spend their collateralized amount, but be able to draw on that, like say BlockFi right now, whatever just happened, there are multiple accounts. There's the interest account and then your wallet account. Will there ever potentially be a wallet account?
Totally. I think what you're asking is, right, we have credit on one hand, that's we understand that's the product on offer, the top priority. Is debit also on the roadmap? Absolutely. It's a very natural extension of our offering, right? To say, okay, well, maybe you do just want to spend against your Bitcoin outright. If that's the case, you can basically just toggle and say, spend from debit, spend from collateral directly, and do that. Yeah.
So I'm going to get real boring here with this, but that is such an exciting idea that has never existed. I've been waiting for that. I don't know why it is so difficult. Okay. Every one of these debit cards, every one of these loading options, I must sell the Bitcoin and load dollars. And that is terrible. That is a terrible thing to do. That is not ideal. And just been waiting for someone to be able to hold the balance in Bitcoin, charge a nominal fee, charge for it, but make that conversion happen at the point of sale with the merchant. That is such an exciting idea.
I mean, that's honestly a much easier product to build than the credit card. So basically we get that for free by building the product, the Bold's initial offering.
So much bigger than just a credit card, and super exciting, super cool. Really excited. Okay, so finally, Okay, co-investors and advisors. Now there's two advisors here listed in the deck. Do you want to just maybe
Yep.
just touch on them real quick?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We love our two primary advisors. The first that you'll see in the deck is Josh Lehman. He and I, we met at Star City. Josh was a co-founder of Star City and its chief technology officer, and we worked hand in hand on the data science and analytics work at Star City. And so that's we did that for about 3 years. And after Star City, Josh moved on to implement the Bitcoin wallet on the Urbit computing platform. And so he serves as a technical advisor to Bold, just in terms of Bitcoin specific wallet implementation questions that we might have. Our second advisor is Mo Socrani. Mo is also a former co-founder of Star City, and I'm kind of mentioning that company a good amount, so I'll say a little bit about it. Got to Series B, was part of Y Combinator 2016, raised over 50 million in venture capital, and was acquired by one of its main competitors. So it was a great journey that we all took together, and learned a ton, and we're a seasoned, sort of battle-hardened team that's been through it, and we're still extremely close friends after it. So so those are the two advisors. In terms of Mo's experience, he functions as Bold's general counsel in a loose sense right now in an advisory capacity. Helps us with legal matters. He is an attorney. He has founded 3 different startups, and he has some experience at the SEC doing consumer finance related matters. So yeah, we love our advisors.
So as far as a who's who here, let me know if I left anyone out here, but El Zante Capital, super exciting. Max and Stacy and Corey.
Love those guys. Love those guys.
Yeah, super exciting. Boy, that's a stamp of approval. So congratulations there. Rare Breed Ventures, Mac, killing it lately. Awesome.
Great guys. Let's not leave out Jonathan Kroll. He's been as well as it's the two of them, Jonathan and Mac. Love Rare Breed, the rarest breed. Okay.
The very popular, amazing Hustle Fund, led by Elizabeth Yin. I've seen a bunch of interviews with her. Huge fan of Elizabeth Yin, and they are, in my opinion, probably one of, if not the best, seed stage firm out there. So congratulations. Stephen Cole, venture partner at Trailblazing.
Absolutely. Love Stephen. He's been a diehard supporter, and a hardcore Bitcoiner. So huge thanks to Stephen for all the advice and for supporting Bold.
Assembly Capital.
Assembly Capital is great. They're investing a big check in the round. Just straightforwardly, they keep a much lower profile, but they were super early in Bitcoin. They have a significant fund, a $35 million fund focused on Bitcoin and Bitcoin companies. Those guys are really great. They've built companies themselves that are really impressive. Specifically, some stuff for the Navy. Assembly Capital, really strong.
Okay, Austin Allred, CEO of Bloomtech.
Yeah, Bloomtech, formerly known as Lambda School, has done some really pioneering work there with teaching folks how to code and kind of pioneering the income sharing agreement with that. Austin's been a huge supporter of ours, and appreciate him a lot.
And of course, the beloved Bitcoiner Ventures crew.
The Bitcoiner Ventures crew. Yeah, and also, Corey Clipston involved there. He's been a huge supporter of ours. Yeah, big thanks to those guys too. They've been awesome. Yeah, they were one of actually one of the first conversations that we had. So they were kind of believers in Bold even before that, the rest of that list came on. So big thanks to them for that.
Yeah. Well, it's an amazing idea, and Bold is super exciting, and definitely right up their alley too. Okay,
Absolutely.
cool. So what else? I think that's it. Those are all the questions. We're happy to be participating and hanging out with you, and we're along for the ride. We're going to do our best to support you in every possible way. And we are really pumped, man. So thanks for letting us ride along with you.
Yeah, Mike, it's been really great working with you, and stoked to have you on the journey.
All right, cool.
Lightning Ventures all the way.
All right. Well, you heard it here. Getbold.io. Sign up on the wait list. We have a opportunity and are thankful to be investing. And thanks for being here and hanging out.
Let's make bold moves.
All right, buddy.